On Tuesday, I shot my first video report since March, and then I won a 15-9 best bet on the Suns and snapped a pretty decent losing streak. So naturally, yesterday I came back and shot another video report, and I had my 4-run road route of the week, and the Toronto Blue Jays on the run line jumped out to the early lead and beat Baltimore on the road last night 10-2. So you better believe you could have counted on anything. The odds were in your favor. You knew I was going to be back here today. And that's why at 6:45 this morning, my time, I am here filming a video for you today. And today, the complimentary plays, well, there are going to be 2 of them. Game 2, the side selection on the Suns and the Bucks, because I feel the best bet tonight, as I go for 15-9 best bet winner number 3 in a row, is actually going to be the total. And you know, I'll talk about totals here in the video report, but few and far between do I have totals as the best bet. But that's where I think the value is and the best play is tonight in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. And I also have a complimentary play coming up on the Nationals and the Padres tonight at the West Coast game at Petco Park. Now, before I get to them, though, just quickly recapping what I mentioned yesterday in the analysis, if you didn't happen to get it, for the winner on Toronto against Baltimore. Quickly, it wasn't the fact that Toronto was looking to bounce back really from the night before losing to the Orioles. It wasn't who the Blue Jays were pitching yesterday. It was a play totally predicated on the fact that Matt Harvey was washed up. And even taking it a step further, if you didn't get the analysis, it was basically this. Every year I identify a few pitchers that don't have it anymore, that are shells of their former selves because of the dearth of pitching that is available. Every season you will find teams that are desperate to find a 5th starter. They constantly cast down and sign these retreads that don't realize that they're washed up, that don't have anything left. But who's left to take the ball every 5th day? Matt Harvey, well past his prime. He's no longer the guy that once was a star or an upcoming star with the New York Mets. He had washed out, flamed out with who? The Indians, the Royals, the Reds, the Angels in recent years. I mean, just wasn't working anymore. But the Orioles took a shot. And listen, in the month of April, there was some hope. He was working like 4 or 5 innings each start. He had like a 4.26 earned run average through the first month. There was even some optimistic hope that maybe the Orioles could get something out of him, flip him for a minor league prospect if things continued to go well. But then Matt Harvey reverted to being Matt Harvey, the same guy who had been washed up the last 3 years or so. And in June and May, his earned run average since that strong start was like 7.25 or so. And he got bombed again last night. And FYI, I think the Orioles are 3-9 in his last 12 starts, I believe it is. And it's just a case where you've got to go against him in every subsequent start he makes. And that's the betting philosophy I have. Listen, no matter the opponent, as long as they're a decent team, if you can get them, and realize you're going to have to play them most likely on the run line, if you can get them at under $1.30, laying 1.5 runs, you just bet against Matt Harvey sight unseen. Another guy, Jake Arrieta, who of course now is supposedly sidelined with a groin injury or something. He's another guy. He's washed up. He has nothing left. That's just the way it goes. You got to go against these guys. You know, I first came up with this concept back in the 80s when I first started really getting into this business. I'd been betting long before then. But there was a guy that was pitching at the time who I used to bet on when he was quite successful with the Detroit Tigers, the guy by the name of Vern Rule. And I came up with something called the Vern Rule. And I don't mean to desecrate Mr. Rule's legacy because he passed away back in 2007 from multiple myeloma after less than a year battle with the blood cancer disease. But he was a guy who was quite successful with the Detroit Tigers and the Houston Astros. But I realized at the latter stages of his career, when he was basically pitching out of the bullpen and an occasional spot starter, that he was no longer the pitcher he once was. So when he was making a spot start, I just started going against him, and I had some success. And it was just something that was kind of always stuck in my mind. And I thought there had to be other pitchers like him. And I started noticing and spotlighting these guys and keeping track of them. And I would just consistently go against them. Didn't matter. I didn't handicap the games. And I had great success. And there's only a handful of them every single year. But if you find them and just bet against them consistently, I swear to goodness you'll hit it at 75 to 80% clip. It has gotten harder over the years, however, because baseball betting has certainly changed in the last 15, 20 years. The biggest change being that now, if you're a mediocre team with a mediocre starter, if you happen to be playing at home, you got to take that team on the damn run line because that's the only way you're going to get them at under $1.40 price. That's how baseball betting has changed. Most of these neophytes in the business have no clue what it used to be like. You used to only have to play the run line when you had your aces on the hill. The Carltons, the Seavers, the Randy Johnsons, the Roger Clemens. Baseball betting has changed. Now you have Joe Blow pitching for a team that's 3 games under 500, but because they're at home, you got to play them on the run line just to get them at a decent price. That's how betting has changed. But again, you find the guys that are washed up, the retreads, you go against them. End of story. Okay, let's talk about game number 2 here tonight. Listen, I had a $15 best bet on the Suns here on Tuesday night, and I like them again tonight. But I just think the way to go is actually to play them on the over-under is the way to go here tonight as far as the best bet. But I still like the Suns. And basically for all the same reasons I like them in game number 1. Listen, in game number 1, yes, Giannis played. And yes, was he that effective? Well, as a rebounder, he certainly was. Had a team leading 17 rebounds. Second in the team in scoring with 21 points. Problem is, he only took 11 shots in that game, and he had 20 points, by the way. The problem with the Bucks in that game is that they got 29 points from Middleton, but they didn't get a hell of a lot else. They got 17 points from Brook Lopez, but he was a defensive liability because they had him out on the perimeter trying to guard Chris Paul. Yeah, that was a mismatch. They had Bobby Portis out on the perimeter trying to guard Chris Paul. That was stupid. Why did they have those two out on the perimeter? Oh, because their best defender, Jrue Holiday, was left trying to guard Devin Booker. How did that work out? Not too well. And Jrue Holiday, once again, failed to show up in a big game offensively, which I've never been real impressed with Jrue Holiday from his days as a rookie with the 76ers. 4 for 14 in 14 minutes, 0 for 4 from the three-point line, finishing with 10 points. So I look at what's going to have to happen here in game number 2 tonight. The Bucks had some success in the second half when they started to go play more small, much as they had to do at times throughout in the Atlanta Hawks series as well, and even against the Brooklyn Nets too. And they have to here tonight because, as I noted in my analysis in game number 1, if you want to play big, the Suns will go big with you because they got DeAndre Ayton, who had a monster game. If you want to go small, they're a versatile team and they'll eat you up going small. The Bucks tonight are going to have to pick up the pace. I think they're going to have to play smaller. They're going to have a bigger game from Giannis. And will Middleton come up with another 29 points? He better. Will Holiday produce more than 10? Certainly. On the other side, you look and you go, well, Ayton had 22. Paul had 32. Booker had 27. Can they possibly combine for, 81 points again? Maybe. But then you go, well, Jay Crowder was 0 for 8 from the field and finished with 1 point. Is he going to do a little better than 1 point? So the numbers balance out. In game number 1, the line opened at 6. It dropped to 5.5. We've got another 5.5 point line here tonight. The Bucks bitched and moaned about the disparity in the free throw shooting. And probably they should have. The Suns, you're always going to get the benefit of home cooking when it comes to free throws and the calls going in your favor. They went to the line, 26 times and they made 25. The Bucks went to the line 16 times and they made 9. Well, I think you'll see the Bucks going to the line more. Geez, if Giannis goes to the line more, is that necessarily a bonus for them here tonight? I still like the Suns. I think the same metrics that applied in game number 1 are going to apply to game number 2. It doesn't matter to me that, this is the must-win situation for the Bucks here tonight. This has been a team that has not been playing well, period, for quite some time. They've only covered 3 times in their last 10 opportunities as an underdog. They've only covered twice in their last 9 opportunities as a road dog. This is a Suns team that has covered 11 of its last 14 games, period. This is a Suns team that has covered 9 of its last 12 as a chalk. This is a Suns team that dominated in game number 1, although the final score didn't show it. They could have won by a much more decisive factor. And Chris Paul is playing great. And you know, I don't see anything changing that here tonight. So I would go ahead and lay the points with the Suns. And as much as I like the Suns, again, I think the total is still the better play in this game. Okay, your complimentary play in baseball, I'm going to go with the Washington Nationals as the road dog, getting $1.25 tonight with Max Scherzer on the hill against the Padres, who have lost 5 of 7, and Yu Darvish. You know, Scherzer was coming off a phenomenal run before suffering a groin injury in his first start or in his start back on June 11th, which he had to leave after just 12 pitches. I wrote down the numbers because in May he had a 1.83 earned run average in 6 starts. And listen to these numbers: 39.1 innings, 21 hits, 57 strikeouts, 8 walks. His first start in June, 7 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 run allowed, 9 strikeouts. Then he left that June 11th start after 12 pitches against San Francisco. He missed 10 days, came back, and his 3 starts since then, he hasn't really skipped a beat. 3 starts, 17 innings, 11 hits allowed, 3 runs, 23 strikeouts. That's why I like Washington tonight. Yes, I know Yu Darvish has pitched well, but you know in June he had his highest earned run average of the month, of the season. Each month it's escalated. It was only 3.07, nothing to be too alarmed about. His last start, Saturday at Philadelphia, he lost one of his poorest starts of the season. 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 homers served up to the Phillies. So I think the Washington Nationals, who have won 2 out of 3 in the series, they won 7-5 on Monday. They lost 7-4 on Tuesday. They walloped the Padres and beat up Chris Paddock last night, 15-5. They're playing pretty good, hitting the ball with authority in this series. A pitcher's park at Petco, and they've put 26 runs on the board for the first 3 games of the series. I'll go with Scherzer as the road dog plus $1.25. That'll do it. The Suns and the Nationals, your 2 complimentary plays. I wish you well and talk to you again.